CV Charging Europe, CV standing for Commercial Vehicle Charging Europe. And just to assure all of you, we will come with a better name, okay? So this is only a temporary gimmick, but we will come with a better name, so rest assured. Good. As part of our mission to accelerate and support the transformation to electrified long-haul trucking, we are here today and this week to tell you all about how we are trying to get this done. We are a product of a joint ambition of the three major truck manufacturers. We have been founded only 2 months ago by Traton, of course representing Scania and MAN, Volvo representing Volvo Trucks as well as Renault and Daimler Trucks, to accelerate the electrification of transport by building a network of charging solutions all across Europe. Can we have the other one? Oh, there we are. Good. Sorry, I think we are still a bit training the slides. If you look at the summer that we have had just now, with enormous high temperatures, enormous droughts, lots of fires, we see that we really are in the climate change that was predicted already long ago. We're also facing an energy crisis which is partly caused by a geopolitical situation, as we all are very aware of, and we have to deal with the 2030 climate goals of the EU going forward. So is this not, at the same time, a perfect storm to start electrifying the complete transportation sector? We know, and we have seen that going through the IAA and looking at the emphasis that is given to the electrification, that there is a clear understanding across the market that we need to end our dependency on fossil fuels. So we need to take zero emission really in our hands and make sure that this is done fast, if not faster than we all expect it to be. So, and there is no way back from this. I hope you've all had the chance to walk around in the different halls, and you have seen all the electric trucks being there. You can order them today, start driving next year. So it's not something that will go away. There is no turning back anymore of this electrified future that we are looking at. And that can only be successful if we put all our strings together and we start cooperating. And as such, we as CV Charging Europe are the living example of that, because we are the product of a joint ambition of our shareholders trying to start the transformation towards electric trucking. So if you take that all into account, we are just at a sort of tipping point. A tipping point where we see that all the technological solutions are there. We have seen the batteries, we have seen the electric trucks, there is the charging technology. So everything is there to make long-haul trucking across Europe to a success. Nothing should be there to stop us. The only thing that we really need to discuss is the legislative landscape, not only on a national scale, but also on a European scale. Because what we need is to have the right legislation working for the commercial vehicle industry as such. We know from the car manufacturers and from the electrification of the car world that there is already a lot of legislation in place. But the commercial vehicle industry is something else. It's not the same as the market for personal cars. So what we really need is some dedicated legislation in Europe so that we have clear targets, not only in Europe but also on a national level, to start building out the requested and the so needed infrastructure on a national level, including the megawatt charging that we will need to make this really run for the long-haul transportation. What we also need is the commitment from the energy system. So the commitment from the grid operators, the commitment from the energy system to produce green energy, so that we can have our hands on the right connections, the right grid connections at the right level, and have the right amount of green energy needed to provide the logistical industry with the right energy that is there. Another thing that we need to take into account is that the whole process of getting approvals, getting permits, getting the right space, that needs to be speeded up quite a lot to get to the stage and to the ramp up that we need in order to boost this industry. We expect, in the end, that the legislative landscape, and we see all signs of that, it's not that it's not there, but we expect that it will push this market forward and it will give us the pace that we need to get the infrastructure in there and get the right levels of energy supplied at the right location. And let's not forget our customers. We have been approached by many customers already who are in the consumer goods industry, and they want to reduce their footprint. So they will come to the market and request their transportation companies to come up with greener ways of transportation, if not complete zero emission. So also from that perspective, we need to make sure that the legislative landscape, as well as the footprint and the CO2 emission, is completely brought in line to enforce this transformation. I think many of you have driven along the highways in Europe, and you have seen the overcrowded parking spaces, and you have seen truck drivers alongside the highway just taking their resting times. I don't know how you feel about this, but I really think that this is not the way we want to treat a sector where we all rely on. Millions of people in Europe rely on the logistical system. And what is the reality here is that we have overcrowded spaces where the amenities are basically not there, or they are not safe, or they are not clean, or they are not enough. And that in a situation where we have a shortage of around 40,000 places in Europe, where there is a shortage of drivers. Well, anyone wonders why? So we need to take this stage of transformation that we are in, not only transform the vehicle and electrify this, but take that same opportunity to improve and transform the situation of where these people do their difficult jobs. So we need to make sure that the resting place for the electrified vehicles are clean, are safe, are spacious, where people feel welcome. And by doing that, attract a complete different level of truck drivers, which are not attracted to the situation that is there. And of course, I am referring to a lot of women in this field, who are not necessarily not wanting to drive a truck. No, they would be willing to do so, but not in the situation that we are in. So if we want to solve the problem of a shortage of truck drivers in Europe, we need to combine that with the electrification and the possibility that we have to make this a better future, also for our truck drivers. So the technology is there, the interest is there, the legislative environment will be there. So what is holding us back, if any? We have this incredible efficient transport system, which we can improve for the better, as I said before. So we need to take this challenge of electrification of our network, of our transportation system, and turn this into a better environment for our clients, for our companies, for our drivers. So in the end, we will live up to a better environment for our children, for our grandchildren, and for the rest of Europe. So we are here to speed up the rollout of the whole transportation ecosystem, and we do that by rolling out the network. So we will roll out a network across Europe where people can charge at the speed that they need to. And we do that in line and in close cooperation with the transportation organizations and with the Drivers Association, as I said before. But we can only reach zero emission in time, and in time, for me, that would be somewhere between 2030 and 2035. Might sound a bit ambitious, but that is what I think would be in time to meet the EU criteria. So rolling out the network is going to be our core focus. We will be focusing on getting the right charges in, making sure that they are always on, that they are available at all times, and make sure that the whole ecosystem for the transportation community as well as for the driver is as simple, as straightforward, as reliable as possible. So we will have some discussions on that, about who is going to play what role, who is going to take care of what service. And we will have maybe some rough discussions on that, but we will always take care of the reliability and the availability of the charging system. So how are we going to do this? First is by keeping the acceleration in focus. Focus on the rollout of the charging network that needs to be there. Our target is to have a minimum of 1,700 charging points out there within 5 years. That's not so many, is it? So when the market will ramp up quicker than we expect, we will ramp up quicker than we promise today. So having that in focus is for us number one. And there is no downside in moving faster. There is no downside in doing more than that. But there is a negative effect on doing less. If we do less and we cannot support the transformation toward electric driving, then the negative impact will be way bigger than there is. So we need to go faster than this. The other thing that we need to focus on is to see the challenges that are there in front of us, to see that as means to innovation. And there will be quite a lot of challenges. We will improve the overall driver experience, as I mentioned before. We will need to improve the way the energy system will be handling this problem, as I said before. But above all, we need to make sure that the transport system can have confidence in the fact that they can charge and that there will be always a charger available within the time and the distance that they can rely on. So reliability above all is key. If you have ever driven an electric car, I trust most of you have by now, then you know that reaching a charger who is not working, that's not a nice thing. It can be quite annoying, but it's not critical. For the commercial vehicle, it is critical. So for that part, we need to emphasize the reliability above everything. 100% uptime, that is something that in a few years you can relate to, and you can ask us where we are, okay? So, if everything is ready to go, we all have to step up to accelerate the transformation to zero emission. It's not something that we can do alone. It's not something that the truck builders can do alone. It's not something that the energy system can do alone, or that the legislator can do alone. It's only there where we put the industries together and start moving towards zero emission. So there is a lot of work that we need to do. There's a lot of work that we can do. So, as I said before, there will be some obstacles around the road. It will be maybe even a bit of a bumpy road, but that's okay, because all these obstacles are solvable, and we can get there. So the convoy is ready to go. We are ready to start, and we invite you to be part of this. So the question for you guys is, are you charged up? Are you ready to go? Good, let's go then. Thank you very much for your attention.
All right. Anja, thank you very much. Reason to be optimistic about the future, indeed. I don't know if any of you were here earlier when we heard from Martin Daum of Daimler say, hydrogen is not champagne. Up next, we're going to get a new view of hydrogen. Hydrogen Now from the president of Nikola Motor. Please give a warm